Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome back to Roadwarden, where today we have a lot of things to figure out. So we've got, in theory, a very vague path toward helping with the plague. But I don't know exactly what is going to have to happen to feed Beholder enough. It's Beholder, right? Sorry, not wait. Travel. Yeah, Beholder. We know that we need to feed Beholder until some kind of fruit grows. We don't know exactly what we're going to be feeding Beholder, though. It sounds like magic and blood both kind of work. We have this Pneuma Stone to facilitate the process, but I don't know exactly how all this is going to go. My feeling is we should go talk to the Enchantress, probably. If anybody's going to know how we would generate a large amount of Pneuma to give to Beholder, I reckon she probably is going to. The other thing that I definitely want to do today is to meet the tribe of the Green Mountain. We know that going to the old bridge and then heading up the stream, there should be a little path, is how we do that. So my feeling right now is I think I want to go. We haven't been to the Pelt of the North in quite some time, and we do owe the innkeeper there at least the information that that Howler's Dell does not have his back as far as the raiders are concerned, right? Let's head south, pick up our fishing traps from the ruins, finally, provided that they're still there. Even if the fish here can't be trusted, which may well be the case, we can at the very least, use them elsewhere now that we know of other places where we could use them. And I want to try to, from the Pelt of the North, try to establish this route. If we can figure out a way to make this safe, then we'll have a lot of freedom to travel, basically wherever we need to go. And as far as what we will do for resting the night, we could try to return to the Pelt at the end of the night. We also could try to make it to the Enchantress's place, because the Enchantress, she says she only likes to talk to people at the very beginning or very end of the day. If she wants to talk to you at the very end of the day, then where else are you supposed to sleep, right? She must have some kind of plan, or you're supposed to figure out the watchtower thing. Yeah, maybe we need to figure out the watchtower thing first, ingratiate ourselves with Gale Rocks a little bit more. I don't know. I still want to try to venture this way and establish this road if we can. So let's start by riding down to Beholder and just seeing what there is to see here. Okay, so we've reached the crossroads. Bubbles are breaking the water's surface. You can't get close enough to identify their source. I approach the altar. The cream-colored limestone is cold and smooth. I don't have anything really to sacrifice, right? We need to give this earring back to Ephraim, I believe. I still don't really know what to make of this. Yeah, we have very little food. I definitely do not think it is a good idea to give the food, and the spirit rock is supposed to help us transfer Pneuma to the tree. I don't think we're supposed to just give the spirit rock to the tree. I think it's supposed to be a tool that facilitates. We are just running on fumes all the time. I need something to give to the tree. All right, so never mind that. And if I want to try something else, sorry, I can take a closer look at the roots. You kneel in front of one that's lying on the shore. It's brown, covered with hair that resembles that on your arm. When you touch it, it's moist, soft, and warmer than you'd expect. I do something with it. No, I don't. Oops, no. I think we're just leaving. Yeah, there's nothing for me to do here. As long as I'm fairly sure that I'm right about the thing where we don't just give it the rock. Okay, back to this dead village. Let's see if the fish trap had any luck. Your catch is already starved to death and is now eaten. You open the lid, pour out the contents into the river. Okay, but I have my fish traps again, right? Maybe not? I take the fish trap back. Alright. Yeah, I don't I want to catch stuff in a place where the water is less concerning. We didn't really explore this village all that thoroughly. Let's take a little bit more of a look around. We'll check out the northern gate. The paths here have almost been reclaimed by grasses. To your east and west, you see shadowy alleys behind damaged buildings, while the path south leads to the main square. I approach the nearby tree. You don't find anything worth picking. The half-dead quinces have maggots crawling under their skins. You wonder which part of this meal is more tempting for the dark-winged birds sitting among the branches, the flesh of the fruits or of the worms. Quinces are rarely eaten without having a chance to blet. You can safely guess that they were meant to be dried or to add taste to cookies or hard drinks. After a few moments, you realize that the bottom part of the tree, just above the ground, is partially charred. Someone must have opposed a torch here, but the wet wood didn't burst into flames. That's weird. Who would think that would work? Like if we are to take that like somebody was trying to burn down the tree and it just didn't happen, who would think you could just burn down any random tree? Or something else happened here, right? A torch was dropped here for some other reason. Okay, so the well's pretty close to the wall. We could still run away if something comes at us out of the middle of the city. Let's look into the well. It's filled up with soil. You find nothing interesting about the area around it. Okay. I do want to open the gate. It may take a couple of hours, especially without proper tools to help you remove all the ground and rocks. You know what? Never mind. I don't want to open it that much. Let's look around the northeast part of the village. The debris was partially moved outside of the destroyed houses, but you find nothing of value. The table, cupboards, shelves, and bits and pieces were carefully ransacked. The wildly growing vegetables and herbs are the only remnants of the abandoned gardens. You spot fresh human footprints at the entrance to the latrine, most of which lead to and from the center of the village. You notice a set of simple tools leaned against a pile of rubble. A wooden spade and a shovel, a pointed stick, a hoe with a bone head, a stone axe. All of them too old and too awkward to bother with transporting them around, but you'll know where to find them if you need them in the future. Okay. I guess let's go to the main square. Let's see. In every village, the main square is the fanciest area, meant to charm the travelers. Yet this is way more than you expected. The houses are as big as in Havlavon, and the paved ground took a lot of work and materials. The walls, now charred and riddled with holes, are made of an expensive coated wattle. The tiles for the roofs also had to be brought here from a different settlement. You peek inside the three smaller buildings, the rotting remains of their former splendor. The birds, living in dozens of nests, respond to your arrival with quite a commotion. You don't find even a single dragon bone, nor a tool or a piece of furniture left unbroken or unrotten. You're surrounded by bad smells, dirt, animal droppings, and garbage. The well also stinks. It has no bucket, but you'd be afraid to use it anyway. Who knows how many birds have relieved themselves inside, or how many old rats have found their death while climbing up the walls. Suddenly, you hear some sounds coming from the largest building. You stop and touch your aching stomach. Alright, I should check it out, prepare my axe, or walk away. I should check it out, I should. Alright. You step cautiously toward the scent of urine and sweat. The flickering candlelight shows you broken furniture, yet no signs of burnt wood. You consider pulling the other door when a masculine voice proves that your presence is not unnoticed. I didn't want it to come to this, but stay where you are. Whatever you put inside, be it a shoe, a hand, or your damn thinker, it'll get a bolt. Okay, alright, relax, stranger. I'm the Roadwarden. You chose this place to visit from all that there are. Even outlaws don't come here. He pauses, then goes on before you respond. It may be you're telling the truth, so let's say this. My little ballista here is all pulled and ready, but you won't do anything stupid, right? No running, no jumping around. Show your hands. The man's voice lacks confidence, and his accent is tricky for you. He could be from the distant south, but as long as you don't speak too quickly, you'll understand one another. You don't hear any other movements or breathing or voices. You lean your axe against the doorframe and make sure that your knife is well hidden. And then I just step inside. I was gonna do this, but I do feel like you should be given the option to leave here as well. The dense smell of urine hits you with full force, while the tools and utensils are hard to distinguish from the rubble. The route to the upper floor is blocked by the collapsed roof and loose wooden beams. There are scraps of rusting iron and steel on the ground, detached from the now destroyed barrels. The scavenger is sitting on a blanket in front of the tent, pointing at the floor with his loaded crossbow. Not a short man, though a bit skinny. He's tanned, dark-haired, and has seen his share of struggles. There are long claw scars on his left cheek, and another one that would divide his eyebrow in half if it hadn't been consumed by a fire, just like the rest of his forehead. His clothes are untainted by vanity. He's barefoot in a dirty linen shirt with rolled-up sleeves and simple pants that use a cord for a belt. His long beard and hair are untrimmed and untangled. Okay, yeah, I'm going to present myself as not a threat here as much as I can. I sit on the stairs with raised hands. You wipe the dust off the steps, but before you sit down, you hear the man's annoyed voice. Nah, don't get too homey. It's the only place here that's not just ashes and debris, and I'm not sharing it. You better ride ahead. I already piled up whatever hasn't run. The candlelights are dancing on his burnt face and arms. He moves his crossbow just enough to make sure he won't shoot you by accident. Well, I appreciate that. I saw your horse. Maybe you could help me. What are you looking for in this place? You don't sound like you're from the north. Yeah, Well, if I tell him I'm short on dragon bones, there's a possibility that he'll just be like, well, I'm taking everything here, you need to fuck off or die. But it's also possible he'll try to, get me to do something for him, which is absolutely an arrangement I'd be into. Let's lead with Asterion. I'm looking for another Roadwarden, a man known as Asterion. I've never met him, but I surely heard his name many times. He vanished before I got to the coast. At first, people were asking about him. Now they think he's dead. Listen, he scratches his thighs nervously. I'm hungry. So damn hungry. I can't hunt or fish with all the ape men around. Can you share anything, Roadster? I may be a drifter, but I wouldn't beg if I'd not lost my bags on the road. Oh, bloody hell. I'm at maximum nourishment. I can probably figure something out. Yeah, fine. Take these cereals and crackers. With some water, you'll have a gruel. He lets out a relieved breath. Aye, I may even boil it. After a moment of hesitation, he grabs a cracker. Without you, I'd have to run after birds with my ballista, but I need to save the bolts for the ape men. And because of those stinkers, I can't roast here, and raw meat makes me want to puke. Thank you. After a couple of solid bites, he puts your gifts in 2 wooden bowls. All right, now, Roadster, he says with a full mouth, if you have questions, ask. I'll say a lot to make you get me out of here. Okay, so where do you want to travel? Where do you want to travel to now, and what will you give me for my help? Let me explain first, eh? I was in Howlersdale, the closest village east and north. And people there are nice, you know. Not like in Old Pagos, they're all boring and grimmer than a crow. It's interesting that he says the closest village to the east and north, because Howlersdale is definitely northwest of here. I wonder if that's a typo on the developer's part, or a mistake on his part, or a lie on his part. Not like in Old Pagos, they're all boring and grimmer than a crow. But they cry coin for everything, and damn good coin. I left, wanted to look around the ruins, see if there's anything left, then moved to Pelt and hire the hunters to help me here. No luck, bunch of griffs jumped my packbird. I just bought it. He spits on the floor. Fast and nimble, but not brave enough to listen to me when all that screeching and scratching started. So it ran away with my bags. A few fell on the ground and I pulled them here, but you see how it is. I won't travel around with a tent on my back. He taps the crossbow with his fingers. I need maybe a day more, just a day, and I'll have all the iron scrapped from the barrels so I can move forward. But I can't take my stuff all alone, and without me around, the ape men are going to break in and steal all my shit. I need to stay here, but since you have a horse, come back tomorrow and help me return to Howler's Dell. How about it? I just need to know the road's safe. As safe as it can be, I mean. It's weird that one of the questions I have is, what exactly do you want me to do, when he just told me. But I am going to say this one because I don't necessarily want to press on the you're going to give me something for it. At least not yet. I probably will end up doing that, but let's see what this yields first. I need to make sure there's no danger hiding on the road from here to Howler's. Or rather, I know there is some danger, but as long as you can get there and safely return, I'm sure we can handle some roaming monsters. He theatrically rubs his hands together. And this ballista has hit more beast skulls than I have fingers, and I've never lost a finger, Roadster. Only toes. Maybe to prove it, he starts to count on his fingers. So, see if the road there is clear, then come here tomorrow, we'll pack my stuff on your horse and move out. But don't come when it's close to evening. We're going to need 3 hours on our feet. And I won't push through the night. Even sleeping next to an 8-man tribe is safer. Yeah, no kidding. And don't make me wait for too long. I can wait for a couple of days if I find some food, but if you don't get back, I'll have to risk it no matter what. Okay, well, why Howler's Dell? If you want to go south, we should go to the Pelt. I mean, I see your point, but I've never been there. Can they afford my iron? They have means to pay for it? I need coins to find a handy bunch that will walk south with me. And I need a new staff and bolts. I know the village. It's a nice place. Even has a smithy of sorts. I mean, I've had a chance to take a look at it. It's a large inn and safe. They seem to be rich and they have enough hunters to guide you south. You could use the iron to barter. Well, it's a shorter path, I guess. Fewer spots to get surrounded by corpsers. If you're sure it's the best option, fine. I'll trust a Roadster's judgment. The thing is, I don't work for free, and I don't even have the option to work for free. I probably wouldn't have anyway, but I have ways to pay you. Don't you worry. I can give you dragons, but I'll have to sell the iron first, so I'll need a bit of time, you see. 5 for a short escort would be plenty. But if you want, I'll give you a secret jar of mine. Very fine mixture that scares 8-men away. Works on pebblers, too. When you ask if all this stench of urine is somehow related to this potion, he just winks and chuckles. I hate that. I hate that very much. I should be able to know whether that's a thing that could... Can you make anti-8-men potions out of your own piss? That feels like something that should have been covered in my education. Well, you know, I'd also like to learn more about the villages you visited. He seems surprised. Sure. But I don't have connections there, you know, just my eyes. He starts to hum. You know, when you get to Howler's, you'll meet the mayor there for sure, Theus. And whatever you do, don't ask her where she got her coins from, eh? She's rich, stupid bitch, but don't ask her how this happened. Just trust me. He scratches his beard with a mournful look. Yeah, alright, it's a deal. I'll escort you. Thanks, Roadster. Just come tomorrow. I'll make it worth your time. I mean, if he's really willing to give us 5 dragons, I'm ecstatic about that. So, do you have any idea what happened here? This is my primary concern. Well, I won't guess, but I saw many ruins. There's no treasure or skeletons here, so this place means as much as dirt. Someone was barking too loud, so the beast broke through and made them quiet again. He clicks his tongue. And that's that. Talking about nature's fury brings bad luck, don't you know? Yeah, this village kind of makes me feel sick. Ugh, me too, in the guts and the thinker. Gets easier with time if you're patient. Must be the air, the smell of death. Death and 8-man piss. He pats his stomach while laughing. Yeah, that's hilarious. This place does make me nervous. I remember why we left initially. Hopefully being in here is not going to make things any worse. And you're sure there are no undead around? He nods. I've seen none. People say it's been less than 10 years since the herds came here, but I don't know if anyone bothered with raising the pyres. If not, the dead are all roaming in the forest now. He clucks his tongue with frustration. That may be there's a walker somewhere under the debris waiting to break through like a dragon in an egg. He looks straight at you. You'd better not dig. Yeah, alright, fair enough. I've heard about some bandits. Have you seen any hideouts nearby? I can't imagine he would have. Nah, I think they're all in the north or east. I stuck to the western road. No shell bothered me. Sorry, can't help you. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself? He gives you a sullen glance. What for? I've no legacy to keep alive in tales. I may tell you this and that after you take me out of here. I feel like asking him this, it just makes me look greedy. And while I am greedy, I don't know what benefit there is to letting him know that. I guess there is some version of this situation where we ask him this question and he's like, well, I searched everywhere except X, which I couldn't get open. I don't know, maybe you could get it open. And the small chance of something like that happening probably is worth him thinking I'm greedy, because I don't know that it would matter terribly. Yeah, let's ask. You searched the entire village? Are there no hidden treasures left? Oh, you came to the wrong place. Time, moisture, and the damn borers devoured all the loot. I've been here for a couple days now, and all that's left is this iron I carried here. I was planning to get back here with some hired muscle and clear the collapsed buildings, but I doubt it's worth the time and risk. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah. The closer you are to the village and the longer you stick around, the sicker you feel. Taste of gastric juices hits your mouth, your forehead hurts, you start to stumble. Yeah, let's get away from the walls. I don't think we have anything else to do here anyway. Maybe best to stay away from the village for the rest of the day. I'm not going to put the fish trap back in the water here, even though we are coming back, just because I don't trust the water. Alright, let's head east and see what's what. It's been some time since we were at the Pelt. Yeah, it's day 9. It's almost time for the hunt up at Foggy's. The guard ignores your arrival. As you ride in, the other hunters training with spears and staffs in the courtyard. You hear the sounds of work coming from the armorer's workshop. I'm just going to go ahead and go straight in. The windows are open, and while there's a few guards eating and drinking, the hall is clean. The innkeeper is dusting the counter and the shelves with a cloth. So, you again. Need anything? Yeah. About Glaucia's band. He freezes, observing your hands silently. Theus has sent me to the other villages. The bandits are focused on White Marshes, so she's not interested in your deal. Without a word, he puts your payment on the counter, then glances at your nose. I appreciate that you've been so thorough. You've already done more than I've asked for. I still have the crossbow to sell. Let's say we'll lower its price, just for you. Keep up the good work. It would be totally sick to have a crossbow. He walks toward the window, opens it, and looks outside. I was afraid it might be like that. Times will get rough, yet there may never be a threat large enough to unite this bunch of anarchists. He rests his hand on the windowsill. By the way, I have no memory of what voice we used for him before, what sort of intonation, so I've just chosen this one randomly. Alright, I have another job for you, if you're really interested. I'll pay you 10 coins for finding out what Glaucia really wants. Ideally not by a direct question, but if there's no other way, he shrugs. He turns back to you, and for a few words looks into your eyes. And you better act before she marks you as her next prey, being a lonely traveler and all. Work with me, and I'll do my best to keep you safe if you ever decide to hide behind our walls. Yeah, let's say I find her. Any tips on how I might get on her good side? Assuming she has one, I only have one tip for you. If she sees that you can be broken, she will not hesitate to make it happen. Yeah, okay. So, I think we have to make a decision here about how we're going to handle White Marshes. Do we want to lean in on Theus's plan to basically, I'm still not sure what I think she's going to do. Killing all the undead and potentially killing Orentius would mean that the village is basically defenseless, right? Once the village is basically defenseless, what do we trust Theus from her character to do with that information? They don't really have a lot of resources. I would assume she'll take everything they can take. but the turf warden does want us to help clear out the undead. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little nervous about the whole thing. I'm gonna tell him at least. Listen, I have a message from Theus. It's about Arrentius. You explain the matter, and when you mention necromancy, the innkeep gestures for you to sit at a table. He walks behind the counter, fills up 2 mugs, and sits down with you. The beer he offers you is full of hops, yellow, thick, and cloudy. The smell alone makes you think of sweet and sour fruits from the distant south. The man has plenty of questions and doubts. You describe White Marshes and its deeds, the undead, Arrentius' leadership, Theus' plan. It goes on for quite a while, with you doing most of the talking. In the meantime, a couple of hunters gather in the room and listen to your conversation in silence, keenly observing you. Your thoughts run toward your axe. Once Pelt's innkeep is done with his questions, he spends a good minute observing the contents of his mug. Fine. His eyes steadily observe the mug. A couple of us will arrive at Howler's soon. They'll join you when you move on the marshes. He nods to his companions and asks you if there's anything else. I'm a little surprised to see him just sort of hop to like that. Yeah, there's this gatekeeper, Quintus. He looks at a mug, listening to your tale. So, what do you expect me to do with him once he's here? Well, he is a brave, strong soul. I believe he could assist your hunters on their trips. Well, we use our wits and traps, not so much brute force, but I guess you're right. A fierce fighter may be of use. He rubs his arm and reaches for a piece of roasted lizard. Alright, bring him here. I'll offer him gruel and a corner to sleep, and I'll pay him once he helps us catch some worthy game. Alright, definitely want to make sure that everybody knows about the plague. He sighs and puts his muscled arm on his head, then asks you about the state of the village and the symptoms you know of. After a short conversation, he observes the counter. I was planning to get in touch with those stonecutters. Alright, thank you for bringing me the news. Let's hope they can make it till spring. Yeah. I'd like to ask about somebody. What do you know about Eudocia? Oh, Eudocia is crazy. She lives in a lonely house all by herself, skinny and dirty like a corpse eater, surrounded by golems. Never smiles, never cries, one of those. She never leaves her home, and if you see it from far away, it looks abandoned. A few times a year, people travel to her and trade barrels of food for magical items. Okay, interesting. Why don't you show me your wares here? So the crossbow's down to a mere 26. We could buy some food rations and probably should. Yeah, 3 filling meals for a coin. I think that's probably a good idea. We should have food on us, both because who knows what might happen, but also because sometimes people take food as trade. Do I have anything you'd like to buy? Nope. Okay, fair enough. I didn't think so. Alright, well, that's all I needed. I'm gonna head to the armorer. Okay. Yeah. Gambeson repairs, I think that's pretty important. Getting broke again sucks, but Gambeson is the only thing keeping us alive, so probably ought to care for it. Let's have a quick chat with the guards. The guards greet you with polite nods or a casual hello. When Dalit gets closer to you with a smile, the brown boar follows her steps. And what brings you to us? I met Quintus, the one who trained with your team. He may need your help. You explain the difficult situation he finds himself in, putting emphasis on his wounds and food issues. Listening to your conversation, the nearby guards surround you, forming a circle together with the boar, and ask you if Quintus is in one piece. Your tale causes the tension to give way to jokes. He's so scared of the wrath of the herds, he'll sooner eat his bloody crossbow than learn how to use it, says one of the older women. Oh, let's give the poor guy a break, Dalit interrupts, which is not welcomed by a one-eyed man, who comments that he's not even here. After another minute, she grins at you. Thanks for telling us. We'll change some plans and get in touch with him during our next trip. Come on, not that, the same man chips in, but quiets down under the redhead's stare. Okay, you're Dalit, right? Oh, she giggles to cover her confusion. Are you asking me out? I ain't interested in any silliness. She brushes away the hair from her forehead. The tangled chaos all over her scalp cares not for her efforts. Well, yeah. Half my life ago I was living on crops, but I bet I've shot down more monsters than you've broken eggs. You much of a fighter? Many more eyes turned toward you. I don't fight when I don't have to, but I'm not sure if this is the answer that's going to win me the most favor here. I don't remember why I was even able to ask her. Like, clearly this is connected to something, but I don't remember what it was connected to. Somebody must have asked us to check in on her. Listen, if you live as a traveler, you face enemies. It's not really an option. While Dalit pats the boar, the guards get back to their own affairs. I guess. There's always an option. To stop the journey. One should always look for a new home. What a weird interaction. I met Elon. He says hi. She looks up, twirling her hair as she thinks. I'm sorry, who? Foggy's son? She gives you a beaming smile. Ah, so that's his name. His accent is so thick I kind of misheard it. Forgive me. How's he doing? You gossip about the man and his companion, and a couple of the hunters join your conversation, asking about the Eastern Road, the tavern, and traveling in general. A good couple of minutes is spent discussing fashion in creeks. Some of the hunters regret not being used to wearing leather and furs, while others are convinced that linen is more convenient. And if you're cold, just put on a cloak, says a woman with a bandage on her neck. After some time, the guards walk away, leaving you with Dalit and the napping boar. Say, speaking of creeks, I'm looking for a few hunters from there. Vashel, Dahlia, and Admon. Were they here? Well, I don't know those names. She looks at her companions, and while there's someone who claims to have met them, he has nothing to say about them. She then glances at the boar, which is now very interested in the smell of your boots, and giggles. It's a long way from here to Creeks. I mostly spoke with Ephron. Have you met him? Yeah, sure, he's a nice guy. She starts to laugh. Well, maybe I wouldn't say nice, but there's charm to his vigor. Okay. I'm looking for more knowledge about wild creatures. Well, I told you our knowledge is valuable. I don't know. She looks at the boar, which seems to be obsessed with a clump of grass growing next to the wall. 15 dragons, no less. Youch, is there a discount for friends? Well, depending on the friend. She gives you a radiant smile. Let's say 12. If it's too much for you, maybe ask me after you spend some time around, show us what you're capable of. Or play dice with us when you have an hour to spare. And these folks here, she starts to whisper and points with her thumb at the guards behind. They crave gossip. I smile. Oh, come on, it'll be fun. Ilan told me you love to talk about beasts. She giggles. Oh, don't you say such a thing. You make me sound like an old lady. I'm still a hunter, not a talker. She winks at you. Fine. 10. It's fucking, that seems like a fortune to me. It seems like a crazy amount of money. Okay, hey, I have a job for your crew. There's some goblins in the nearby ruins that pose a danger on the road. As long as it involves someone paying for it, I'm ready to listen. What do you know about the pack? Without interruptions, you tell as much as you can. Getting rid of them will do the trick, sure, but as long as those buildings ain't razed to the ground, new beasts will move in sooner or later. Though I ain't one to stop you from reaching into your pouch. A brief smile quirks her lips. Now, you need to take care of some things first. Hunters or not, we won't ride a lair blindly. Okay, so what do you want me to do? She lists your tasks one by one, in the meantime bending forward to brush the boar. This seems like the most adorable boar in all of history. I'll make sure you've looked around the entire village. My crew will get mad if it turns out that yet another lair is just behind the corner. Then be sure there's no soul around. When we fight, we don't do rescue jobs, and if we do, they cost a lot. The boar grunts and turns around, leading her to its other side. Speaking of which, for you it's going to be... She squints her eyes a bit. 10 coins, but we'll take some of the loot we find. We won't let go of magic swords and rings just because. Not that I expect any. She straightens up, but who knows? Okay, we'll come back to that. We could do a little gambling. What is the I can't remember what the cost of sleeping here was. I'm a little leery. Like, I want to get in good with them, but I also don't want to be, like, all the way broke. Oh, hey, just a moment. She runs up in front of you, cutting your way with her wide grin. Do you want to help us out? I spoke with our boss, and I kind of need a rider. Yeah, what do you need? We could use another pair of hands here, someone who knows their way around the woods. You start to explain that you'd rather stick to the saddle, but she waves it off. So, help me find a better soul. There are 2 people I've heard of who would like to join us. Erastos from Howler's Dell and Cassia from Gale Rocks. She rubs the side of her boar, then pushes it away gently, as if she's asking a child to play by itself for a few minutes. The thing is, we already have hunters who used to live in these places, and they told me they ain't all too they ain't all too eager to welcome them here. I'd like you to speak with them both, and to ask the folk from their tribes about them. Before I make a decision about whom I should invite, I need to be sure they can handle the job. Okay, why not just hire Quintus? Your question sparks playful comments from her companions. He's a great friend, she admits, but he can't be trusted with more delicate tasks. When possible, we'd rather avoid using muscles alone. What matters the most is getting out of trouble with as few scratches as possible. Yeah, okay, who's this Erastos? A trapper. A few months ago, he told a passing-by caravan he wanted to leave his home, and asked them to bring us his message. One of his past neighbors told me he remembers Erastos as a weak, quiet boy. I ain't sure that he knows how to fight, but we'd rather use traps anyway. Okay, and Cassia? She mentioned to Asterion that she'd like to come here. She's a guard, but I've heard she's more of a talker than a fighter. Gale Rocks is so far away, I'd really prefer not to travel there, but if she's the better choice, I may have no other option. Okay, what's in it for me? Coins, duh, she giggles. How about 5? I'll give you a few more if you amaze me with all the news you bring. Okay, I bet we could do that. You got any tips on how to handle this? She glances at the other guards, and the one with the fancily braided beard clears his throat. Ask as many people as you can. In small villages, you can never know who sleeps with whom. All right, we can presumably do that. So, we have 6 hours before dusk. Riding past the dolmen and back should be very possible. But mostly what we're doing is we're waiting to come back to these ruins, right? I guess today I could ride all the way back to Howler's Dell now. I don't necessarily love that idea because we don't have the money to pay for a night at the inn here. We could ride all the way back to Howler's Dell, ask a bunch of questions. I need to get information from Creeks and then come all the way back. I wish there were more places to stay. We could actually make it all the way to Foggy Lake. We could ride up to Foggy Lake, ask some questions out here, stay a rough night, unfortunately. Ask some questions at Creeks. Turn in the information we have about Vashel. I don't know. Let's gosh, is that a better plan? Go all the way up north. Next, tomorrow, ask questions. And just like ride back down and try to end the day in Pal to the North again. We can pick up the dude from the ruins on our way back toward the end of the day after we've talked to everybody. Gosh, maybe that is the right move. Really delaying my my meeting with the Enchantress though. And was it day 10 or after day 10 that I was allowed to participate in the hunt? Where was that hunt? Is it bird hunting? Yeah, no sooner than on day 10, but I should leave with them as early as I can someday before afternoon. So it's kind of perfect. It's a lot of travel time, and it does not help us get east, but I think it makes sense, given all the things we have to do today. Or tomorrow. Given all the things we have to do on day 10. Alright, fuck it. We're riding all the way back to Foggy Lake. The surface of the lake is restless, and the cold wind strikes the tavern's hanging barrel again and again. You adjust your cloak. You spot a baited claptrap near the palisade. Let's stride inside here, approach Foggy. I don't think I have anything else to say to Foggy at this point. Okay, I would have to ask her specifically about anything, and I don't have anything specifically to ask her about. Don't have anything to sell. Don't need to buy anything right this second. I still want those iron scraps, and we have a fair idea what to do with them, but yeah, I guess all we're really doing here is sleeping. So sleeping in the attic, I can still gain a point of vitality. The loss of appearance is a bummer, but the loss of food's not too grim. I think I'm okay with this use for our coin. Yeah, let's do this. Then I'm in pretty good shape in case we actually get into something on the morrow. Hardly any light reaches the ground through the clouded sky. The deep night, as some people call it, so dark that you can't see the fingertips of your extended hand. You try to look outside, but to no avail. Even the predators will spend the next few hours hidden, unsure what surrounds their shelters and hideouts. Not all of them, though. You hear cheerful howling coming from the heart of the forest. A hunt queen, or maybe a hunt lord, has already captured its next meal. I can't stay on watch the entire night, but before my second sleep I sit still with a single candle, looking for anything that may try to get inside. You know, I'm providing a little bit of service is all. Listening to the grunts of the annoyed aggro makes you feel uneasy, but at least the furs covering the floor are helping you relax. You don't even notice when it's already morning, and while the smell coming from the lower floor is not inviting, at least it's not you who has to take care of it. Yeah, outside. I approach the foragers. Hey, y'all ever met Erastos the Trapper? They exchange looks as Svi adjusts his dark cloak. We don't hunt all that much, just catch birds and so on. Why don't you try and creeks? Yeah, I'll do that. Anyway, I have everything I need. Let's hunt while it's still early. Can I eat real quick? Okay, not during the chat. Hold on just a second. I walk away. Let me eat so that we are in roughly as good of a shape as we're likely to be as far as physical tasks go. We have good vitality. We're protected. Let's do this hunt. Then we're going. Idiot, take care of his horse. He nods toward the man with one hand. It's not very nice. Ilan puts proudly a rope and a bag on his shoulders, while Tzvi shoves everything under his black cloak. They gather by the gate and mock their companion as he toddles toward the lake with an empty bucket. I grab whatever may be of use from my bags and scratch Aggro's neck. Yeah, they treat him like garbage, and it sucks, and I hate it. The brook is cleaner than ever, and your palfrey happily takes a short break to quench its thirst. The statue stands in all its glory, observing the road and those who use it. The coin you left in the wooden bowl is no longer here. A nice thing, isn't it? Ilan thunders behind you. It's older than our home. What do you say? Chips in Svi. Do you have such things by Havlavan on the roads? Carrying your belongings on your own is surprisingly tiring, and you make noises with every turn. I mean, we do, but they're old, from before the war. He makes a satisfied grin. The war's ruined everything, hasn't it? All the monuments and palaces and temples and slave owners. Poor, poor northerners. After a short chuckle, the larger man goes on. What sort of statues used to be there? That's a great question. I mean... These are probably all things that are true in different places, right? So maybe what we're really doing here is kind of like identifying the traits of the kind of place we are from. I'm going to say this bottom one. They mark places of importance, or spots where an important event has happened. They don't portray actual people. Ilan nods. Stories over people, eh? That's what you get when you base prayers and gods on old tablets. Some of the southern tribes do the very same. The absent eyes of the statue have nothing to add. So, do you know who this is? Elon is more focused on the fish breaking through the surface of the lake. It's old, and the woman's a stranger. I heard no stories of it. My ma could. It was me who got rid of those bushes, you know. Svi narrows his eyes, but speaks with a cheerful tone. Ah, and I thought a beast ate the leaves, but there are no paw prints around, eh? I don't think anyone on the coast is going to kneel before it, adds the larger man. Though, I guess it does look nicer now. I figured there was some small chance that I'd earn some respect, and there's basically no downside to saying it, right? Listen, we should just move on. Aye, let's not linger, says Elon as he walks down the road. We move forward. The valley seems especially peaceful today. A couple of lizards are resting on the rocks, basking with no worries. Elon points east to the large bird at the edge of the horizon, which freezes in the middle of a step and turns its orange head in your direction. See? Time to get ready. Okay, so what's the plan? Well, avoid the beak and the legs and the trample. He pauses, inspecting the loop at the end of his rope. And don't hurt it if you don't have to. We don't want it to be a bother. Svi jauntily drops his belongings in the middle of the road and jumps in place, rhythmically breathing. After he takes off his black cloak, he reveals a set of fancy clothes made of black leather. Clothes of a sneaky adventurer. It charges like a moron. Just be nimble, that's all. 1 or 2 ropes on the neck and we're halfway home. But don't let it pass you by, eh? Should I also take a rope? I could throw it at the bird and Paul once it gets behind me. I don't know, friend. Roping isn't easy. Don't be too reckless. We don't have magic on our hands. And we can't buy another Roadwarden, adds his companion. So don't make this a bad trade for us. All right. I wait for them to get to the sides of the valley, then approach the bird. It's taller than Agro, with wide breast and long, thick, partially feathered legs that could easily trample your chest. Its thighs are thick and powerful. The pointy beak could swallow your entire forearm. Your steps are getting slower. All right. I do not want to threaten the bird right now, right? We will want to give the hunters time to get in position. I'm a little worried that if we look around, I'm going to get jumped. Just keep an eye on it for right now. I try to speak confidently. How's it going? Can you just maybe wait patiently in place so my companions can nicely tie you up? Once you get to the pen with us, you'll have all the rats and pigeons you can eat. The bird moves forward before you even finish your sentence, clearly unimpressed by your promises. But the sound of your voice and the illusion of control helps you calm down. Your hands hold your equipment firmly, and your legs are already bent, ready to jump. You can handle it. Soon, the bird is surrounded by your group, and the pond behind it blocks its path of escape. Once it realizes that, it speeds up, charging in your direction. For some reason, this is the moment where I take a good look at this monster. It's tall, wide, with a massive head. Its feathers are torn by the wind. They're vividly brown, white, and creamy, longer than your handspan, coating the creature like a cape. Its steps are heavy and deliberate. The neck, as long as a limb, keeps moving around, sometimes staring at you with but a single black pupil, surrounded by deep orange. The light gray beak resembles the leaves of the local plants. The tip is curved, pointy, and in no way smooth. It carries dozens of grooves, maybe a sign of an old age, or maybe a trace of hundreds of hunts. Okay. I am not going to take this moment to feel uncertain of myself. I just learned that the illusion of control helps me behave in ways that are better for me. It's just a huge duck. Listen, I have no idea what these are 3 completely internal thoughts, right? I have no idea what any of them might do, or if this choice does absolutely nothing. All right, be confident. Try to find its weak spot. It's just a huge duck. No, I want to treat it as respectable. I just don't want to put the idea of killing it in my head, because that is extremely not what we are getting paid for, right? But let's do this. Let's maintain some respect for this thing. I may be forced to kill it after all. Perhaps. Gosh, let's hope not. It waits no more. It raises its head and makes a long, piercing screech which fills up the entire valley. The feathers on its neck are shaking, but also waving, moved by the muscles. It then flaps its wings and lunges forward, still shouting, charging at you with full force. So, all they said, what they told me to do, was get out of the way. I'm going to get out of the way. I keep my distance and dodge when necessary. The giant feet are pounding the ground, with every leap scuffing up the clouds of leaves and sand. It lowers its long neck, pointing it at you like one would a spear. You do your best to find a balance between running to safety, jumping away from the beak, and staying close to hold the bird's attention. Its reflexes are so quick that you can't imagine doing all this while also trying to strike back. Yet, the creature doesn't find a way to land a hit, and observes you with respect. It turns around, but stops in place when it sees your companions. It looks at you again, preparing for the next charge. Okay, I'm just gonna keep dodging then. Like, they're close, and it's charging me, right? It's not trying to participate, it's not trying to mess with them. So yeah, I'm gonna try again. I figured we would probably take a hit or something at some point. You do your best to find a balance between running to safety, jumping away from the beak, and staying close. Okay, finally the beast lands a hit, so they're just not moving in? Alright, fuck it. You wait to duck at the very last moment. You try to catch the beast from the side, but it has enough time to peck your shoulder. Your gambeson does its job and protects your flesh. Though in pain, you press your shell against the monster's wing, trying to avoid its legs. The runner, as confused as you are, makes an angry screech and tries to shake you off. The feathers are scratching your cheeks and getting in your mouth. Once the bird gets rid of you, it runs east, not aware that this only helps your companions. Okay. It's really like, it is not clear to me what the fuck they are doing. Like, when we got the same text a second time, but without the bit about our companions on keep my distance and dodge when necessary, I just don't have a good sense of, like, mechanically how the capture is progressing. Right? Like, what the fuck are my companions doing right now? How have they not already roped it? Because if doing the thing they told me to do doesn't seem to be getting the job done. But maybe it would now that I've forced it east. I'm gonna keep my distance and dodge. You do your best to find a balance between running to safety, jumping away from the beak, and staying close. You suddenly jump to the side, afraid of an incoming hit, and lose your balance. The bird passes you by and gives you a surprised look, but as it sees the other two men are getting closer, it makes a single long screech and flees west as quickly as it can. You look at it in panic, afraid that it may get to aggro, but before you remember that you left it at Foggy's place. You stand up and dust yourself off. After a minute, the foragers approach you slowly, with Svi wiping his nose on his sleeve. Well, shit, friend. Oh, sorry, this is Elon. Well, shit, friend, Elon says with a sigh. It won't be back any day soon. We better get back. His tone is friendly, but betrayed by his angry, rapid movements. He doesn't look at you, doesn't wait, just hits the road without looking back. His shorter companion shakes his head and follows him energetically. Like they said, there's nothing we can do now. There was nothing we were doing before. I was the only person who was, like, even a part of that fucking... That's very frustrating from a playing a game standpoint, because it seems like they were doing literally nothing. Your companions are grumbly, but at least you move at a good pace. You have time to listen to birds and observe the hills and meadows. After you reach the lake, a blue wolf starts to follow you, hiding among the tall grasses, but it ends up disappearing among the thicker bushes. See, nothing to be afraid of, says Svi with a smile as he wipes off the sweat from his forehead. In the middle of your journey, you think about aggro. During your stroll, everything seems taller, and the creatures you pass by feel more real, as if they are no longer just shadows for you to leave behind. Being on the road without it feels lonely. Foggy observes you from the top of the stairs, with the hand resting on her stomach. She runs her eyes over Elon, but he waves off her wordless question. It ran away. We lacked one more soul. At least you're safe, she sighs. Wash your hands. Dinner's almost ready. She enters the open door while the men walk away in silence. Agro is lazily looking around. So yeah, I guess it was fully up to me to do all the capturing. They were never going to do the jobs that they said they were going to do. That's really frustrating. I guess like if that's what we're supposed to take away, that these guys are essentially just relying on us to do the whole thing, and they were trying to manipulate me into doing the work, then at least this frustration is in character. It's a good fit. I approach Foggy. Okay, I don't have anything else to... I was gonna grouse her about the bullshit that I just went through, because they basically just stole 2 armor repairs from me in exchange for absolutely fucking nothing. All right, let's go to Creeks. I'm looking for Ephron. Have you ever had an opportunity to work with Erastos from Howler's Dell or Cassia from Gale Rocks? Do they know their trade? Aye, with both of them. But I'd rather hunt for frogs than waste my time teaching them both how not to trip over their own feet. He rubs the forehead of his wolf, not aware that you're waiting for him to tell you more. What, surprised? He finally adds. Erastos barely knows how to catch a rabbit or a sparrow. He's as much of a trapper as a child with a stick as a soldier. And Cassia is even worse. Big mouth, sure, but whenever we seek blades at Gale Rocks to help us catch big prey, she suddenly gets a headache. Okay, that's interesting. About the hunters. Unfortunately, something bad happened to Vashel. He interrupts your tale many times, but having little knowledge to spare, you can't satisfy his curiosity. So, you don't really know what happened, just that their shell was in the woods. He gives you a long look, but finally nods. Any evidence? Yeah, unfortunately, here's their earring. He observes it for a few moments, then lets out a sigh. So you did. They made this when they were but a little kid. Told me that once they had a child, they would never wear such ugly things. Their words. He lowers his fist, then looks toward the trinket to the village. I mean, it's not such a bad trinket. What result could this possibly have? If I agree with him that it's elegant, maybe he... I'm going to say I trust Vashal's judgment here. I'm a little worried that if I agree with him that it's elegant, he's going to try to pay me with it. I'd trust Vashal's judgment here. One bad bit of news isn't all, eh? Maybe the others are fine? Well, I'll tell you if I find anything. Alright, good hunting. Maybe there are some locals looking for a match in other villages. After a few minutes, you find yourself sitting at a table with Shoshi, a dark-haired 20-year-old who some call a woodcutter, others a singer. In both of these roles, her massive stature must be of help. When she walks, she either carries a large axe on her shoulders or swings it around, towering over her tribesfolk like a chieftain from the Tales of War. She admits she enjoys a friendly shag from time to time, but can't see a future for her in Creeks. Enough of these friends lose their lives in the wilderness. I start seeing cats and gargoyles in every shadow. Well, I'd rather have a few calm, safe years at the side of a pretty little woman whom I'll see in my bed in the evenings. Though, you know, friend, not just her. She lets out sonorous laughter. You mention that you don't know if she'll be able to keep her trade after moving away, and she strokes her axe with affection. I'd miss the woods, but who knows? My tribe can't be the only one that cuts trees around here, eh? You try to ask her about her worldview, but she gets bored by the topic. We here, she looks around, have no temples and priests, and I don't aim to become one. So I'll tell her about Marina from Gale Rocks, but this does not necessarily sound like a great fit. Well, you found quite the someone, friend. I've heard a lot of good things about her home. But this right talk makes me worried. Are you sure she'll be ready to keep our bonds loose? Seeing your shrug, she sighs. Tell her about me. Don't hide my plans. Just speak of me kindly. She laughs. And if she wants to have fun with me, I'll make her life warmer. And I love kids. For the first time, her smile becomes humble and kind instead of playful. Okay, yeah, I'll take a... We'll try, sure. I approach the shallow creek. I'm going to jump into the stream and get a little bit cleaner. There are no fish or plants to bother with, and your feet find mud among the not always smooth pebbles. The water reaches above your waist, allowing you to have some fun and wash every spot of your shell. Thanks to the gentle flow, you're able to remove the mud stains from your clothes and boots. Alright. I think that was worthwhile. So back to Gale Rocks. We have a number of things to do here. I was meant to speak with Cassia for Dalit. Finding her takes quite a few minutes. The other guards claim that she's patrolling the grounds around the village, but you find her sitting against the western wall. Once she sees you, she straightens up, greeting you with spread arms. An outsider in our delightful village. Her shouts make you stop long before you reach her. And how can I be of service? Do you need help with bloodthirsty beasts? Are the treacherous bandits chasing after you? Have you lost the taste of life? Her sudden laughter makes the pigeons fly away. Speak, speak! Well, Dalit heard you'd like to be a huntress. Splendid! As long as you can promise we'll head to Portia for a filling dinner first, I'm ready to leave first thing in the morning. Portia? Her voice remains loud, adding to her confident gestures and cheerful stance. She's wearing a decent gambeson, but it's lazily put on without tightening the straps and cords, matching her loose, dirty, short hair. She's large, both tall and wide, but has a prominent stomach. The only weapon she's carrying is a club longer than your arm, and she swings it with enthusiasm. Her dark yellow eyes are as large as dragon bones, but you can't read much from them. So, are you not satisfied with living here? Great home, great people, she assures you. Great fish and salt. But the beasts, the space to grow. She moves her right hand in front of her eye, holding the thumb and index finger just slightly spread apart. Tiny. Okay, tell me about your talents. And where am I to start? She raises her club above her head. I can crush, I can smash, I can catch, I can dispatch. She takes a wide swing and steps forward. I tore out the first harpy head when I was 8. Bare hands. She shows you her open palm, twice the size of most humans. Troll hand, sister called me, until She hits the air between the two of you. Okay, sure, fighting is one thing, but the wilderness takes cunning. You catch the glimpse of her hesitation when she narrows her eyes, but she soon returns to her loud self. Are you this eager to hear the tales of my deeds? Want me to tell you how I lifted the curse blocking the mountain trail? Or how I led all them Saurians away from our pier? Without me, this place, she kicks the wall next to her, would have fallen long ago. Well, okay, listen. Before I ask you to go anywhere, I want to hear what your tribe has to say about you. This is true, but I don't know that I want to tell her this. Yeah, I'm going to say it, I guess. Because I don't want her to think she's coming with me. Suddenly, she looks down and clears her throat, then points at you with her weapon. You ain't saying you don't believe me, do you, stranger? Before you respond, she bursts into laughter. I guess so. We're a busy tribe. I better not hear you're causing trouble around here. Cheers! She says the last few words while being turned away from, heading to the top of the nearest hill. She's a strange one. She's got very weird energy. I return to Marina. Let's tell her what we've learned about Shoshi. She looks around nervously. Her voice is low and hesitant. An open relationship, as if... Seeing her blush, you nod. Our forebears wouldn't encourage such a way of living. Does she pray? When you mention that her village in general seems to not put much importance on matters of faith, she seems to lose hope. Yeah, I didn't think this was going to work. Is she pretty at all? She says without meeting your eyes. You try to answer some more specific questions, making her interest suddenly grow. If she's really looking for safe, slow days, ask her if she's willing to abandon this weird wish. Tell her, she pauses, then straightens up and speaks with confidence, as if she's reciting an old story. Tell her this, outsider. You can find love of soul and shell with me, and a new path free of empty cravings. You won't ever look back and regret it. Okay. I feel like I'd be setting up a relationship that's extremely likely to fail in the long run there. Let's ask some people about Cassia. Hey, did you ever work with Cassia, the gatekeeper? He stops you with an annoyed grunt. Oh, what did she do this time? Getting no answer, he waves it off. Right, I give her orders sometimes, but she's a tough rock, won't get polished easily. More often than not, she's the first one to run away, saying she'll get the others. Give me a break. Yep, okay. How about Yuno? She's carving one of her wooden blocks. Cheers, outsider. What could you tell me about Cassia? Ain't she one of the guards? I don't bother with kids' problems. She looks forward and makes a telling nod. You speak with Tatius there. He trains with every fighter in our tribe, he does. Tatius? Okay, that's a new someone, if I'm not mistaken. The outer armory is right next to the eastern gate, but you're led behind it through a fence gate to the training ground. You are introduced to Tatius, a muscular man who's walking in just his pants, displaying his muscular chest and arms, tanned and hairy, and his dusty, dirty feet. His teenage pupils, gathered on the trampled ground, also wear no boots and wear old, torn tunics, with marks of blood and scratches both on their clothes and skin. The man is looking through a few toy weapons gathered in a barrel, a wooden sword, a few spears with their tips wrapped in rags, and similar-looking clubs. After your arrival, the man throws a spear to one of the younger kids and tells the others to get to him like mad boars, and soon after that you hear a painful thud and cheerful laughter. He then offers you vivid red cherries, maybe the last ones of the season. He may be just over 30 years old, yet his wide shoulders, unusual height, and straight posture make even his kindest words sound like a threat. You need something from me, Roadwarden? I'm not looking for better equipment, actually. And you came to the right village, because we don't sell anything we've stored at our armory. We need these things for ourselves. When you mention dragon bones, he looks away at the fighting kids, and orders them to divide into 2 teams, letting the assaulted spearmen rest for a bit. And what am I to do with dragons? Buy blades? His chuckle, while fake, is loud, and moves his chest up and down. After you insist that he may want to think if there's nothing for an axe user, such as yourself, to find here, he puffs out his cheeks, thinking as he exhales. You know what? Come take a look. And you! He looks at the teens. A few minutes of rest. Don't lose any eyes. You go back to the armory's door, and after a few breaths, the man shows you a kite shield, so large it could cover half your shell with ease. That's a gift we received, but we don't use such a shape. It's too weird for us. You can buy it if you wish, or maybe you'd like to grab some quarrels if you have a crossbow. We have enough of those. A kite shield. You're not used to using the shield in combat. I'm not sure if it will actually be beneficial to us. It's not that expensive, at least. Did you used to instruct Cassia? Man, you can't read much from his absent eyes. Yeah. Okay. We could ask the people up at the docks. I'm gonna try to ask Severina. You're asked to enter. Okay. Severina puts away her writing instruments, glances at you, and frowns. The closer you get, the more annoyed she seems to be, but she says nothing. Say, what are your thoughts on Cassia? The thought I'm bearing right now is that I'd rather not spread rumors about those I look after. Her annoyed eyes contradict her calm voice. Can't you bother the elders with such questions? Or speak with Petronius the gossip. He'll be happy to share with you all the dirty laundry he touched. Petronius, I wonder if I just type the elders, if that'll do anything. Yeah, maybe I will. Theus of Howler's Dell considers confronting Aurentius the necromancer directly. Would your people aid her in this task? She purses her lips, then reaches for her seashell, taking a sip of water and observing the exit. I was thinking about the things you said, Roadwarden. Our late priest would never let go of the cruelties committed by the necromancers, he wouldn't. Without him, the severance got easier, but it doesn't make it right. I have to speak with the council first, but no matter what we decide, I think it's time for a group of our fighters to experience Howler's hospitality. Theus shall have some explaining to do. The decision will be made when the time comes, but she'll have my endorsement. She'd rather have a direct yes or no, but as you wish. Alright, let's let ourselves back out. So, if I just type elders, will that work? Kind of. Wandering around the alleys, you find about 10 elders, most of them on the western bank, where they take care of the children, overseeing the ones who can play on their own and carrying the infants with them. A few of them also help with other chores, cooking, cleaning, or embroidering. If there are other elderly around, they are already tied to their houses or even beds. Okay, not super useful. But Petronius is an individual human being. Sorry, well, probably. An individual soul, anyway. You realize there's been someone following you around, or at least accidentally showing up wherever you go. Bored with walking around? He spares you a smirk. He's a short man, dressed in a worn gray-black woolen robe, with a belt as wide as your hand, and a buckle decorated with a large shell, now placed annoyingly just 2 inches away from the center of his stomach. That would actually really get on my nerves. He may only be 30, but it's clear why he has no tasks to bother with. His fingers are paralyzed at unnatural angles, spread like an osier tree's branches. While he's capable of moving around both of his arms slightly, they are constantly bent both at the elbows and at the wrists. He's wearing no boots. Ooh, that sounds rough. Hey, I've got a few questions. Oh, I know. He nods for you to follow him and leads you to the orchard, where you stay in the shadow of a cherry tree. Right. He looks around, scowling at the nearby kid, who instantly turns around and gets out of your sight. Name's Petronius. I can be your guide. His soft voice is close to a whisper. 1 coin, 1 question. He looks at the small leather sack hanging from his neck. No backsies. You decide my answers ain't worth it, you stop asking. Okay, the question, why do you need coins, sounds pretty dumb to me. I think it's pretty obvious. He lowers his arms a bit, as if trying to hide them. Why? He clears his throat and straightens up, though it doesn't make him much taller. Why don't you pay first? Alright, let's talk later. Could still learn more about the wares this village has to offer. So we spoke to the Coopers. We've spoken to the fishermen. They're outside the village anyway. I don't know. Let's go ahead and head north. It's gonna be 7:45 to get back. Ugh. Okay. The scavenger said he would be okay if we didn't get back today. Maybe we end up having to stop in Howlersdale for a night. I don't really have the money to do that, do I? No, I really don't. And I don't have anything to sell, even. This is a nightmare. Alright. I would like to meet more people here, because I would love it if we could just get the the key to the Eastern Watchtower. But I need to figure out who else I need to meet first. Alright, we're gonna hang out right here. I'm gonna think about this a little bit, see if I can come up with who else I think might be around here. And also what I think we're gonna do with the rest of our day, because this turned out really badly. The hunt gave us nothing, which I'm super upset about. And time has not actually been on our side. That's gonna be it for us for today. Thank you all so much for watching. When you come back next time, my hope is that I will have some kind of solid plan. And we'll see you then.